So today we're going to be investigating Ungoro Madness, the mini world event, deciding what it is, whether it's worth our time, and how to do it. During this mini event, up to 3 bosses will spawn at a time in Ungoro Crater. You can fly around and kill them in order to get the item Dino Mojo. You cannot solo these bosses, so you will need to find a raid group. Once you receive the item Dino Mojo, you can throw it at another player. Both you and the random player will both receive an adaptation. As we can see, the 3 adaptations are Sharp Claws, Bony Carapace, Lightning Speed, and Massive. Each buff stacks at 15% and lasts 3 days. There is a buff that goes on after that called Awesomeness, but I don't believe it has any tangible effect. Alright, first boss to talk about is Queen Savra. She's a giant raptor. She only has 2 abilities. The first ability is a Caustic Blood that she drops on the floor that the tank has to kite her out of because it does a lot of nature damage. Her second ability, which is the more important one, is called Summon the Pack. Raptors come from each side of her, front, back and sides, and they run at you, and it's a Frogger style event. If you do get hit with them, they will stun you. If you get hit by the first one, chances are you'll get stunned by all of them, and it turned into a little bit of chain stunning. As you can see, they're coming here from the side. You do have to run in between them. I'm a tank, so I don't take so much damage from them. You see in a second, I will get hit by one. If you're not a tank, they can do a lot of damage. If you are a smaller raid group, the stuns can be pretty painful if you don't have enough healers. If you have a large enough raid group, they're really not a concern, and you can just kind of tank them and burn through it. This is one of the easier bosses in Ungoro Crater. Next boss up, we have Giant Finn. Giant Finn's a giant murloc, and basically what he does, he's got an AoE lightning ability that hits everyone in the raid. You just kind of have to heal through. He also summons ads. As you can see them there, the murlocs that get summoned, they have ranged attack. They do a little bit of damage. You can see them do a little bit of damage to the raid here. They do despawn. You don't actually have to kill them, so you don't have to group them up or anything. You can just ignore them and burn him. He is probably the easiest boss there is in Ungoro Crater at the moment. Next boss up is Scrox. He's a pterodactyl. He doesn't do a whole lot of anything. Basically, you just attack him, and after about 25 seconds, he'll fly across the room. There he goes. You've got to chase after him. When he lands, he'll unleash an AoE screeching attack that increases in damage every second until you get in melee range of him. It's really not a big deal. You can get to him quite quickly. He doesn't fly very far. Other than that, he doesn't do a whole lot. He is also incredibly easy. This is Tyrantus. Basically, you just tank and spank him as well. He has a frontal AoE screech that he lets out that's really not much. He doesn't do a whole lot of damage. He does, however, have an AoE poison attack that he drops on the floor. As we can see, he drops it on the floor and you need to find a safe space, otherwise you do take a little bit of nature damage. Other than that, he also has the Caustic Blood that the tank needs to drag him out of. Okay, Akarador has some abilities that we actually need to be aware of. He has a frontal cone smash that hits the tank, making them take increased physical damage that isn't really that hard to deal with. The ability that can get a little bit crazy is Primal Shout. When he casts his Primal Shout, he summons an ad, whether it's a fireworm, a pterodactyl, a triceratops. Basically, he summons a companion to him. The fireworm that you can see, it's kind of hard to see under there. It does a 360-degree fire cone, so you just have to stay out of it. See, we've dragged him away from it. As you'll see in a second, the next companion he summons is a triceratops. The triceratops has too much health to actually AoE down, so you need to keep it up while you're fighting him. It does have a charge though, and because we're fighting him on a cliff, it does knock you quite far. So this is where it can get very ugly very quickly. If he summons enough fireworms in the little gaps in the cliffs, it can wipe your raid, as well as getting knocked off and taking a large amount of fall damage. If the tank gets knocked off, like one of our tanks just did there, he can chase him down the cliff, and again, it can get very, very ugly very, very quickly. So you do just need to burn him down as fast as you can while ignoring the ads, and hopefully kill him before too many ads spawn and wipe you. Dodanga is incredibly easy. He does very little of anything. If you are tanking him, he does have a knockback. He can sort of shoot you across the room. His other ability is a stomp. He just sort of stands there stomping. It does a little bit of AoE damage and interrupts your spellcasting because he knocks you in the air every 1 second for 5 seconds. A few AoE heals will take care of it. He's incredibly easy. So Tar Tyrant, guys, I attempted this about 8 times today with different groups and haven't actually killed him. I got incredibly close with a guild group because we had a bunch of sort of big dick DPS that really trying to put the hammer on him, but he's a little bit bugged. When the ads get to him, he gets an increase in damage, but it's just not manageable, and you just can't DPS him down fast enough to get to him. Even if you DPS the tar pits to stop him getting the damage, he still gets some. Even if he gets one, it gets him 700% damage, and more or less he just eventually one-shots the tank, no matter how fast your DPS is. Again, I haven't successfully killed him. Maybe some people have had more luck than me, but I have had no luck, and basically we've just been skipping him because there's 2 bosses up at all times, so you can just rotate between whatever the other 2 are. So Sherazin, guys, have 2 phases. Basically just this phase where you DPS her down. She does have a lot of AoE, nature damage. The second phase is when she goes into a shell into the ground like that. She spawns three sort of adds around her. As you can see with that particular ad, it's got a ring around the bottom. If you stand in that ring, you're actually immune to nature damage, and she does 3 pulses. So after each pulse, the ring, or which is the safe zone on which one of the ads changes. As you can see, I'm running to the safer zone now. If you stand there, you won't actually take damage. You can still DPS her. A lot of groups just do if they have enough healers and can handle the damage. If you don't, you do have to move to the safe zones. If not, you can just kind of power through it if you have enough heals. She also drops that AoE nature damage there on the floor, and the tank has to drag her out of it. So Clutch Mothers of Vass is another one that you need to know the mechanics of, or you will wipe. Basically, you pull her outside of the little caves that she's sort of standing in, and you just kind of tank and spank her in the first phase. She has an AoE ability that she spreads on the raid, which is nature and poison damage, but the phase that's really important is when she summons her ads. Here we can see that she summons 3 to 4 slug creatures. What they do is they attack a certain person, and you'll get a highlighted buff that says they're fixating on you. Once they're fixating on you, they will chase you basically to the ends of the earth. If you do have one on you, you have to run and keep doing as much damage to the boss as you can while not being caught by them. If they catch you, they will basically one-shot you. Once you DPS the boss down, just don't become complacent. The ads actually don't despawn when the boss dies, and they will chase you for about another minute. So you got to keep running away, or again they will one-shot you. They can be a little bit buggy and can chase you for quite some time. Sunkeeper Croesus has various AoE abilities we need to be aware of. He has a Sunstrike-like ability where he puts markers on the ground and you need to find a safe space or you will take some AoE damage. He also has Caustic Blood that he drops on the floor and that the tank needs to drag him out of. Un'Goro Madness is a fun and interesting event, 100% worth for open world leveling and skinning.